The Olympics are underway, and Google has graced us with an Olympics-themed game. They didn't have to go this far for us, but they did, and I thank them for it. While superhumans duke it out for prestige and eternal honor before the fires of the Greek gods, and regular people watch the games, wondering if they should exercise more, all while stuffing their faces with food and drinks, us novice writers have got a right. And in the spirit of the games, let's talk about writing games and sports. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and writing sports or game scenes in your stories is way harder than you might think. One of the biggest problems is the fact that most games have a wide set of rules, explanations, setup, and so forth. And if you're making your own fictional game, there's all this stuff that you have to figure out. And if you're using a real game, there's all the stuff that you have to know. Entire books and manuals have already been written about the rules. You find yourself wondering then, how in Apollo's good name are you going to cram all of that info into just a paragraph or one page? How will anyone follow your game? How the heck did J.K. Rowling manage to create a game that muggles now play for fun because it is so popular and easy to follow? The answers are simple. People only need to know the introductory stuff. One team carries, kicks, or dribbles the ball from one end to the other and scores. A sword must strike 3 times on a person's torso in order to score points. Life points reach 0 by attacking the other player. Scores are awarded on timing and grace in a dance. You know what? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Honestly, what is it that this sport is doing? Taking the ball from one end of the court or the field to the other? Is it a dance? Is it a card game? Keep it simple. People will follow the games you write, however, in a variety of ways. If you're writing for an already established real game, something like soccer, tennis, poker, even Dungeons and Dragons, people already have a rudimentary understanding for this stuff. This is another reason why you should keep it simple with your explanations for how the game works, because people already know to a certain extent. All you then need to do is provide a simple recap of how the game works for those who already know how it works and for those who don't, and just move on. Now, this does change a little when it comes to your own self-created games. You have to guide your readers through a combination of telling and showing. Tell your readers just enough so they can follow the simple plays and rules of the game. Then, focus more on showing them how the game unfolds. That's where a lot of the great fun is. Great examples of this are our first introduction to Quidditch and even Duel Monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Despite the fact that the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Really doesn't follow any set rules. I know, it's strange. Now, here's another really important tip. Only explain what is relevant to the game within your story. For example, there are over 700 fouls that can be committed in the game of Quidditch, but J.K. Rowling doesn't explain them all. Instead, she shows us a handful of these fouls throughout the different matches that we read. There are so many plays that you can execute also in games like basketball, soccer, volleyball, etc. But instead of giving a play-by-play, focus on basics and cool plays that keep the tension high. Now, for those of you specifically creating your own games, it is very, very possible to get lost down a rabbit hole. You are not responsible for making the next game that you write guaranteed to make it to the Olympics. But what you need to do is think about the basics. Is your game about getting, for example, a ball from one end of the court or field to another? Is it about getting a specific set or pattern on the cards, tiles, or stones? Is it about capturing or elevating a piece on a board? Is your game about outsmarting an opponent? Is your game about luck? Whatever the answer is, once again, you need to focus on the basics of your game. Once you have these basics answered and written out, you can start adding the bells and the whistles to flesh it out. And feel free to get creative after that point. Establish your rules and some basic strategies. But again, remember that you aren't in the business of creating an entire bankable game. You just want to have something that will challenge your characters and entertain your readers. So, to boil it down, Nail down the basics of the game before adding the complicated cool stuff. Don't go into too great detail, and explain what is necessary for the plot and the game to unfold. And finally, err on the side of having fun. Once you have written your game, give it over to your writing group to get feedback from them. Ask them to specifically critique how logical the game is, how fun the game is, and if there is either too much being described or if something within the rules is too vague. Once you have your answers, start tweaking the game from there. Now, once you have all of that established and you start writing the action within the game, the writing to any game should be similar to writing a fight. It is a difficult balance of action and description. You want to avoid giving a blow-by-blow account of the game. Instead, you want to show your audience the quick bursts of action and the important highlights within the game. Then, describe the emotions, the strain, and the highs and the lows. Again, write the game as you would a fight. You're not acting as a sports commentator here. One of the few exceptions for this would be if you were writing some sort of slug match of a card game like Duel Monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh! And sorry, there's only one king of games, so maybe this isn't the route that you want to go, but that's just my opinion. And that's pretty much it. Games are fun to write, and they don't have to be a headache. And if this video has been helpful, please give it a like, and we'd love to hear about any games that you are currently writing. And if you would like to read a hilarious example of a tournament that I wrote, you can go check out my novella, Sandwich Desperados, about sandwich delivery guys competing in underground racing. And if you'd like more writing advice, please go check out our podcast, Camille's Harem, and all our other videos here on YouTube. We have writing exercises that you can check out over at our Pinterest page, and you can even join our Discord community and our subreddit by using the links below. Thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. Enjoy the Olympics, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.